Having to work with an arrogant person in the morning was making my job difficult. Every day, my coworkers and I put up with the abusive behavior of our supervisor, an elite manager who had graduated from a prestigious university. One day, I reached my limit and decided to confront her. She sneered, "You should talk to your bosses or something. I'm one of the elites, nobody's going to listen to a dropout like you." She seemed so sure of herself, but one word from the company president, who happened to be passing by, completely changed her attitude. "My name is Daniel Smith. I started working as a salesperson for a subsidiary of a big company right after high school. My father had been hurt in a motorcycle accident and couldn't work anymore, so I got this job to support my family. I was able to get the job thanks to my father's connections with the company. The people here got along well, and I enjoyed my work. My boss was nice, and my coworkers were easy to get along with, so I didn't usually have much to worry about. But today, I felt a little down." "Hey, Smith, isn't today the meeting with the head office?" my colleague asked. "Yes, it is," I replied. "That means she's coming here, right? I wish I could have taken the day off," he said. "Don't worry about it," I replied. "You don't have to deal with her directly." But honestly, I was feeling down, too. Just then, we heard her voice. "Why weren't any employees waiting at the entrance for me? They knew I was coming, and this is how they react?" she demanded angrily. My coworker muttered something and quickly left, avoiding her. The woman giving orders was Manager Jones. She regularly visited from the headquarters for meetings. She had graduated from a prestigious university and was hired directly into management, but she was arrogant and always looked down on us employees from the subsidiary. "Typical, uneducated and incompetent as usual," she said, clearly annoyed. "You all make me look bad. Let's start this meeting quickly. I don't want to spend any more time with you people than I have to." I apologized politely. "Sorry, ma'am, but we're still waiting for one more person who's on the way." "You're going to make me wait?" she snapped. "I came all the way here from headquarters, and you people aren't even ready?" "You arrived 20 minutes early, ma'am," I said, though I tried to keep my tone respectful, but I was frustrated. She was always so unreasonable, and yet, because she was elite, we felt we couldn't stand up to her. We all talked about her behavior among ourselves at the subsidiary, but in the end, we always endured it without saying anything to her. Then, one morning, as I was driving to work, I prepared myself to face another difficult day. I noticed an elderly woman crouched in distress in the middle of the road. It was clearly an emergency, but most people around just pretended not to see her, not wanting to get involved. I rushed over and asked, "Are you okay, ma'am?" But she didn't respond. Her breathing was labored, and she couldn't speak clearly. I quickly took out my phone and called 911. When the ambulance arrived, I went with her to the hospital. A nurse soon told me, "It's okay for you to go home. We'll take care of her until her family arrives." I had already informed my company that I'd be late, and I wanted to make sure she was okay, so I stayed until her family arrived. Thankfully, she wasn't in any serious danger and was able to leave the hospital a few days later. A few weeks later, I unexpectedly received a transfer order to the headquarters branch. It was a direct order from the company president. I wasn't sure if I should go, but my coworker said, "This shows they noticed your hard work. Go and do your best." Their encouragement helped me decide to accept the transfer. My first day at headquarters was busy. I wanted to introduce myself to each department. On my way, I saw the chief in the hallway and hurried to greet her, but she looked at me with disgust. "What are you doing here?" she said. "Aren't you a little out of place?" "Good morning, Chief. I've been assigned here," I replied. "Oh, you're being relocated here? What are they thinking?" She ignored my greeting and went on. "Having to breathe the same air as an uneducated idiot like you in the morning is going to ruin my whole day." I tried to stay polite. "Chief, I'm sorry if I made you feel that way." "Oh, stop talking. Stay out of my way. I'm busy." She waved me off like I was an annoying fly, clearly not interested in listening. Realizing it was pointless to keep trying, I gave up and returned to work. When I returned to the floor where the chief worked, I overheard her angrily scolding one of her employees. "You're incompetent. Why can't you handle something as simple as this? Even a new hire could do this," she snapped. "I'm sorry," the employee mumbled, clearly upset about the mistake he'd made. He clenched his fists, bowed his head, and took the harsh words in silence. "If this is the best you can do, I'd rather have someone else working for me. You're useless to me now. Clean out your desk and get out of my way," she continued, before finally noticing me. Our eyes met, and her face twisted with anger. what are you doing back here? Didn't I tell you to stay out of my way this morning? She demanded. Please, calm down, Chief, I actually need to talk to you today, I said, trying to keep things respectful. Stop talking, I don't have time for incompetent people like you, she stormed off, slamming the door behind her. After she left, I approached the employee who had just been yelled at. He flinched at the sound of the door slamming. Is that typical of the chief? I asked. It happens every day, he replied with frustration. She constantly disrespects me. Careful, keep your voice down, or she'll hear you, I said, worried she might come back and give him an even harder time. I did my best to calm him down. I've been putting up with this for a long time, but I can't take it anymore, the employee said, stumbling to his desk. He pulled out a white envelope from a drawer. Is that a resignation letter? I asked. Yes, he replied. I've been thinking about this for a while. My previous job was peaceful and fulfilling, but ever since the chief arrived, this place has become unbearable. He looked sadly at his desk, covered in notes and documents. It was clear he had once loved his job and worked hard. I understand how you feel, I told him, but doesn't it bother you to see all your hard work wasted because of one difficult manager? Of course it does, he sighed. I've worked hard here and been here longer than she has, but it's just. I could see his frustration and sadness. He was struggling, with nowhere for his emotions to go. The chief might think that way, but there are people here who trust and rely on you. Why don't you stay a little longer, for them? Stay a little longer? He asked, surprised. Don't worry, I'll take care of this. It's not you who should have to quit. Leaving him in surprise, I went to find the chief. I couldn't stand by while more employees were mistreated. I quickly tracked her down in the break room, where she was drinking tea. Excuse me, I said. She looked annoyed as she noticed me. Why are you still here? You're as persistent as a fly. I'm on a break, leave me alone. The chief looked tired, probably from all the yelling. I took a deep breath and said, Chief, I'm going to conduct a formal investigation into your treatment of the employees here. If necessary, there will be consequences. She looked shocked. What are you talking about? Are you trying to play hero and defend those incompetents? No, I'm not, I replied calmly. Fine, go tell your bosses. Then, I'm an elite, with the support of my superiors. Nobody's going to listen to a dropout like you from the subsidiary, she sneered. Just then, a man appeared from the other side of the room. Smith, how are things going for you? It was the president. I'm doing my best, thanks to you, sir, I replied. The chief immediately changed her tone. Hello, President, what a pleasant surprise. The president smiled. I'm glad to hear things are going well. Have you met the new branch manager? What, new branch manager? The chief asked, looking completely confused. The president looked at the chief with surprise. He's standing right in front of you. Haven't you been briefed? The chief laughed, assuming he was joking. This employee from a subsidiary? You must be kidding, boss. But the president's expression turned serious. I'm not joking. He is now the branch manager of this office. Don't be disrespectful by calling him incompetent. The chief's face turned pale, and she looked as if she might faint. I looked at her calmly. I tried to tell you earlier, but you ignored me. I've already informed the other departments. She muttered in shock, unable to believe it. An uneducated, incompetent. The president sighed, clearly disappointed in her. He began to explain. Let me tell you a little about this incompetent you've been mistreating. He turned to the chief. This branch manager's father founded this business. However, after his father was injured in a car accident, I stepped in to help run things. The chief was speechless. He's the former president's son? Yes, the president confirmed. I've been asking him to come to headquarters for a while, but he's always preferred his role at the subsidiary. The chief, completely rattled, asked, Then, why did you suddenly come here now? She'd momentarily forgotten she was speaking in front of the president. He looked shocked to see this side of her, as she usually acted respectfully around him. The president continued, I strongly urged him to transfer here. He's my mother's lifesaver. Your mother? The chief stammered. Yes, a few weeks ago, when an elderly woman was struggling in the middle of the road, he was the only one who stopped to help her. He called an ambulance and stayed with her until the family arrived, even though everyone else just walked by. The chief's mouth dropped open in disbelief. The president nodded. I didn't want him to stay buried in a subsidiary when he deserves so much more. That's why I made him the branch manager here. The chief, finally understanding the situation, looked completely defeated. On the day I was appointed branch manager, I had doubts about whether I was ready for the role. I had only worked at a subsidiary, and suddenly, I was being asked to lead a branch of the main office. But after hearing from the president and receiving my father's call asking me to support the company he had helped build, I made up my mind to accept. The president explained to the chief, "Smith is now branch manager, so show him respect and pay close attention to what he says." Then, he left the room. I turned to the chief and said, "You've been mistreating not just the employees from subsidiaries, but also your direct subordinates. I know what it's like to be looked down on because of my education level. Now that I'm branch manager, I can't overlook this anymore. Be prepared for the consequences." The chief sank to the floor and began to cry, her pride severely wounded. She had always looked down on me, only to find herself in a lower position. My difficult days were over. The next day, we began an investigation into the chief's behavior. After interviewing various employees, many reported the harsh comments and actions she had directed at them. Due to her misconduct, the chief was disciplined and left the company without a word. Her high self-esteem had taken a big hit. With her position now vacant, the president promoted the employee she had once yelled at to be the new chief. He had been with the company for many years, was dedicated to his work, and understood firsthand what it was like to be treated unfairly. I felt confident he would make a great leader who respected his team. As for me, I aimed to lead by listening to employees. I held regular meetings to hear their opinions, organized training for those in higher positions to help them become better leaders, and tried to stay connected with everyone, just as I had at the subsidiary. Thanks to these efforts, the company's atmosphere improved, and it became a much better place to work, reminding me of the warm, collaborative environment I had enjoyed at the subsidiary. "Smith, I'm sorry about what happened with Jones, but thanks to you, the company is doing very well," the president said. Sometime later, he invited me to his office for coffee to discuss the company's progress. "I'm getting older," he said thoughtfully. "Eventually, I'd like you to succeed me as president." "With all respect, Mr. President, I don't see myself becoming president," I replied. He looked surprised. "Why, your father would have wanted this too." "I want to work alongside the employees, supporting the company and being close to the customers. It'd be hard to do that if I were president." The president looked at me for a moment, then laughed. "You're a unique one, Smith. Most people would jump at this offer." "Maybe I'm a bit unusual," I admitted. "No, it's good," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "That's exactly the kind of person we need here." Then he added, "You have a meeting coming up, right? Go on, keep up the good work."